welcome back to Snoopy Studio. And today I'm here to talk about Dead Poets Society. This is a classic. I assume most of you have at least heard of this book slash movie before. I mean, it's a Robin Williams movie, and Robin Williams, is pretty famous. He's been in a lot of things, lot of good stuff. So yeah, my brother and I, we watched this a couple months ago, and then I asked for the book for Christmas, and I got it. So then I read the book, and so yeah, I just today I kind of just wanted to talk about what I thought of both the book and the movies, some differences between the two, kind of which one I like better. But this is gonna be a really hard one because I think both the book and the movie delivered like the content really well and the story and all of that. But the back cover, in case any of you have not read or watched Dead Poet Society, the back cover of the book says Todd Anderson and his friends at Wilton Academy can hardly believe how different life is since their new English professor, the flamboyant John Keating, has challenged them to make your lives extraordinary. Inspired by Keating, the boys resurrect the Dead Poet Society, a secret club where, free from the constraints and expectations of school and parents, they let their passions run wild. As Keating turns the boys on to the great words of Byron, Shelley, and Keats, they discover not only the beauty of language, but the importance of making each moment count. But the dead poets' pledges soon realize that their newfound freedom can have tragic consequences. Can the club and the individuality it inspires survive the pressure from authorities determined to destroy their dreams? So, yeah, pretty good synopsis. It covers everything pretty well. I mean, I was blown away when I watched the movie. The movie came out first, actually. The movie came out in 1989, I'm pretty sure. Let me check that real quick. So I'm seeing 1988. I'm seeing August 1st, 1989. This movie came out June 2nd, 1989. So I guess the movie came out first, and then they had like a book prepared that they probably wrote in the process of everything to release them pretty close to each other. But it was originally developed as a movie, clearly, which is interesting. You don't usually see that. You usually see, the book, and then if the book's successful, then they consider a movie down the road, sometimes sooner, sometimes later. But yeah, this was originally developed as a movie, and I think you can tell because I think the interesting thing is I personally, like most people, do prefer the book over the movie, and this one is a tougher because I think because it was developed as a movie, I think it makes me like the movie like more than I would have if it was the opposite. So the thing with the movie is I do feel like we get to know the characters overall better because we get to spend more time with them. It's a little over 2 hour movie where this book, it's a pretty quick book, pretty quick read. I mean, it took me probably like a week to finish it, but I also wasn't reading like a lot every day. That's the only reason I would have finished it much faster if I would have read a lot every day. But it's about 166 pages, so pretty quick read. So, I mean, if, match it up to minutes, the movie's longer than the book. And yeah, I mean, I think that makes a lot of sense overall. I mean, it's not like the Harry Potter books where they're so thick and so full of detail. I mean, this has a pretty good amount of detail that they were able to add in. I think they probably added in that more detail for the people who watched the movie, and then they got the book to like help fill in the gaps. That's kind of my guess. It's hard because I kind of wish I was like alive back then, so I would have gotten to experience it in real time. It's a bit different now. Also, because I haven't watched the movie in a couple of months, so it's a little hard to remember every specific little detail that happened in it. I'm kind of more fresh off of the book. But the movie's performances I think are really well done. The actors who portray them, I need to look it up. I mean, obviously Robin Williams is good in every single role that he's in. He was really good in Good Will Hunting, which was the main other thing that I've seen him in. He's really good in this. Robert Sean Leonard plays Neil, and he's really good in this too. Just the pure like joy and optimism that he brings to the role, very much like the book. I think they did justice to his character for sure. Same with Todd, aka Ethan. They gave him a little bit more attention in the movie, I thought, which I did appreciate. The character of Knox is interesting. I in the like the weird thing is that in the book they really, I feel like, tried to make Knox a bigger character than what he ended up being in the movie. In the movie, he just felt more like a side character, which I think is what he was originally supposed to be. I think the nice thing in the movie is that, but with the exception of maybe characters like Meeks and Pitts, and I think there's just supposed to be secondary characters in the movie. They split like things more evenly. Like they give the most screen time to Neil, which I think that makes the most sense. I mean, Neil and Todd end up having the most screen time. They give more attention to Neil's whole plot in the movie, which I appreciate. With Todd, I mean, I think the book probably gives like a few more hints in the book as to his growth. You know, in the book they highlight more of like how anxious he is, how nervous he is, a little bit more than the movie. But I mean, the movie does a good job with all of it. The one thing I found interesting in the movie is how they wrote Cameron differently. In the book, they throw in several references that something might be up with him, and you're not really thinking it much in the movie. I mean, there's a lot of them to keep track of, and you're only like telling a story in like this certain amount of time. You're not necessarily thinking about Cameron throughout the movie. What is he up to? There's a lot of other stuff going on. It's not until after Neil's death that you find out, oh shit, we have a traitor here trying to sabotage Mr. Keating, and you get that little blow up. And I think they try to make you sympathize with him a bit more in the book, that he's just someone who broke the system, but in the movie they make it he's a little bit more like villainous, I will admit. And like that ending scene, like in the book, it says everyone gets on their desk besides a few people, but they don't specify that Cameron doesn't get up. In the movie, they specifically show him sitting down looking pissed off. So they made that change, I think, to make us hate him a bit more, which I found interesting. It's the book's so interesting how much it what's the climax we assume is Neil's death, right? But there's a lot, like the second half of it just keeps escalating and escalating from there. It's very much just like go 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 go, and then you get that really satisfying ending. I mean, the plot's really well done, the pacing and all of it, and in both the book and the movie, I think the movie does a really good job with the pacing. I didn't see really any pacing issues at all when I watched it, from what I remember. One thing the movie does illuminate that I am a little bit upset about is when Mr. Keating is leading the big group of kids on the night of Neil's death, and they're chanting poetry. I thought that would be a really powerful scene to include in the movie, but for some reason, I think what they wanted to do was give Neil's death a bit more impact, so just to like isolate it and make it its own moment rather than making it more like a montage moment, which I think probably made more sense, because what I will say is just the way that Neil's death was portrayed was easily one of the best like suicide scenes I've seen like played out and like ever. Like I will admit, I mean the other one that really like hits me of how well done it was in One Tree Hill for the school shooting episode with Jimmy Edwards. That was a really well done scene with the suicide and everything. And this is really well done too, because they don't exactly show you what's going on, but you kind of have the guess. But the way like he he put that hat on for his play, and you could just see the mixed of emotions in him and how like depressed he is, how much he's been through, and how he's just kind of done. He's been through a lot of shit, and again, the actor did such a great job of portraying that. And then the ending where it leads to his parents coming in and crying over him, I thought that was much better portrayed in the movie, with the gun and how they shot that and everything. I thought was really well done. So that was easily one of the highlights of the movie for me, that whole sequence playing out. The plot I don't particularly like in either the book or the movie is the whole Knox trying to win over Chris. It's just weird. I mean, I guess you kind of have to have a horny character and a bit of a romance to root for, and they try to go that route with this. But I mean, he just came across as a creep and like a pervert? And in the book they make it this really explicit scene where he's sitting next to Chris and Chet, and they're like having, or they're making out or whatever, and then he touches her breast, but she thinks it's Chet. But then it's revealed, like the lights turn on or whatever, and Chet sees that it's Knox doing that to her. In the movie, like Chet isn't even like there with Chris. Like Chris is sleeping and Knox tries to make a move on her, which is stupid. I mean, Chet's not there, but he's like in the room. Like, you really think he wouldn't notice that? But either way, they made it a little bit less explicit in the movie, which I appreciated because in the book they, it's like him touching her breast, which wouldn't actually happen in a movie. They had to tone that down a bit. But yeah, no, I just didn't like that subplot. And I think in the book they gave a bit too much time for Knox's character. And in the movie they scaled that back a bit and gave a bit more attention to Neil and Todd, which I prefer their storylines anyways. I think I very much could have done without the Knox subplot, because by the end it didn't feel like he earned Chris at all. I mean, not like I don't think the term earning a girl is really appropriate, but I mean that's basically how they were portraying it in this. Like, he earned her by the end, even though she technically didn't even break up with her boyfriend by the end, but yet she was already kissing him. So I thought that was definitely like the weakest part of the whole story, was that subplot. But I mean, again, the Todd, I would have liked a little bit more development into, like, I would have liked to have met his brother, and all of that with his parents and everything. I think that family dynamic had some potential with the Anderson family, and so I would have liked to have delved into them a bit more in both the book and the movie. I think the Perry dynamics too, I would have liked a bit more. Maybe a scene with him and his mom would have been nice, just the two of them. But I get you have a limited amount of runtime. You have a lot of characters to work with and all of that. I always ask myself, should this have been a TV show? It could have been, but I think it worked fine as the movie. Again, only really minor things that I was upset with in the movie. Overall, it's a very good adaptation of it, which technically the book would be an adaptation of the movie, but they were kind of like that created concurrently, so I guess I would just put them in the same category, same timeline wise. But I mean, it's that's trickier to decide which one I think is better, because I think they're both really well made. But I think I think a lot of like the poetry meetings I think were good in both the book and the movie. In the book we get to see, I feel like, a little bit more of the poetry meetings, which they're able to kind of do that. They a lot of it is like the poetry meetings, and then you get like Knox's subplot is like a lot kind of going back and forth in the book. And then he's like complaining about Chris, which just gets really annoying, and it's not really even funny either. Again, did not care for that subplot, but yeah, I think I'm gonna give it. It's close. It's close between the book and the movie. I think I'm gonna give the movie the edge because of the performances, because of how they portrayed Neil's suicide sequence, because of Robin Williams. I mean, again, you picked like the best actor to play the Keating part, because they made Cameron a bit more villainous, which I actually like that change from the book. It made us like hate him by the end, and sometimes I would rather hate the person rather than feel like bad or sympathetic for them. Some characters you just like, sometimes you just need to go all the way and just make you hate the character rather than just making you feel like, are they all that bad? Sometimes that can get a bit old. So I like that the change they made with the Cameron character, for sure. I would have liked the movie to delve into the Charlie and Ginny plot a little bit. They didn't, I mean, the book touched on it. The movie didn't really touch on that a whole lot. I would have liked a little bit more there. The phone call from God scene was hilarious. I think the Charlie character was good too. Meeks and Pitts didn't have a whole lot to do, but I think they kind of served their purpose for what they were. The Mr. Keating character was good in both of them. Robin Williams did a great job. So again, I think the performances were the strongest part in this, that really gave the movie the edge to me. I mean, it's the same way I thought The Outsiders the movie was a little bit better than the book, reflecting on it all these years later. But yeah, so comment down below, what do you think of the Dead Poets Society story overall? Do you prefer the book or do you prefer the movie? And next week I won't have a video because it's midterms week. I have 2 midterms next week, and I have to record a podcast for my filmmaking class. It won't be on here. It's just going to go to my assignment for my assignment, but that's going to take my recording time away for next week's video. I'll still have my When Calls the Heart, but there won't be a second video next week. So yeah, I'll see you guys soon though. Thanks everyone for listening, and bye everyone.